I spent my whole life being 5 steps behind everybody else, but is that really true, or is that just a narrative I've been giving myself this whole time? All of my friends from high school has been quite established in their jobs, and I haven't even started a job. I am always constantly rushing towards something and I have no idea what it is. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I figured out how to get ahead of 99% of students. Hi and welcome. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you're new here, welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here. So these are the things that we're going to be talking about. I'll put the timestamps below so that it's easy for you guys to look at it. When it comes to distractions, a lot of it comes into play with what you describe a distraction to be like. So for example, if you want to study, you get distracted by cleaning your room, for example. A lot of people think distraction is the same thing as procrastination. Distraction is the same thing as not being able to focus, etc., etc. All of that is probably true, but what you don't realize is that you can use your distractions effectively. Whenever I'm cleaning my room because I don't want to do any studying for an exam, something like that, what I would do instead is I would listen to an audiobook while I'm cleaning, or I would listen to a YouTube video about the Mariana Trench, something that doesn't even have to be exactly related to my module, but even if it's like slightly educational, I will watch it and I will use that as a distraction. The main reason why I don't want to be studying this module or whatever it is I have to do, if I don't want to study for it, it's probably because I find it either difficult and I'm too scared to fail, or secondly, I find it incredibly boring. So what I would do instead is I would ease myself into this educational mindset where I didn't want to study. Now I am kind of forced into studying because I've spent the past 2 hours cleaning my room and studying at the same time. Because I am naturally a very curious person, when my brain starts to ask questions and starts to try to find answers to things that are being said in the podcast, that is when I know it is time for me to start studying. So using your distractions as a way to kickstart your studying process is a very effective technique. Secondly, smart distractions. Most students at this point would probably keep continuing being distracted. The average screen time for students is about 8 hours a day, which is actually quite surprising considering we're mostly at school. How do we have 8 hours of screen time? I have no idea, but we do apparently. With this screen time, why don't you use it in a smart way? So sometimes I get very, very motivated. I don't know if other iPhone users feel the same way, but for some reason, being in the Apple ecosystem makes me feel so superior. I know that's such a bad thing to say, but for some reason, just the feel of the iPhone, just the feel of an iPad, it feels so elegant and aesthetic for some reason that it just motivates me to make the most out of it. Like, I personally feel so motivated to be productive. So what I would do constantly is peruse the educational category on the App Store. And because of this, I have found so many apps that I've been using these past few years. All of these apps that helps me to learn something from my phone or my iPad, it motivates me so much. And then using AI as a study buddy is probably one of the best decisions I've made in these past years. Technology is like a Swiss Army knife. That's how I would say it. Because it's so versatile, you can literally do anything with it. And AI is one of the things or one of the tools that can help you to master or even maximize your time into using these distractions to make it effective. And that comes to my next point. One of the websites that I've been using that has helped me a lot in basically simplifying a lot of the work that I need to do is Cramify. Whenever I want to learn about something quickly and I just don't have the time for it and I need it to kickstart my study process, I would just put it into Cramify. And Cramify is able to summarize any text that I've given it. It's even able to summarize PowerPoint presentations, which is super helpful when I don't have the time to study for 14 hours, which I sometimes do. I just want to do it quickly. I can put my lecture slides and then have Cramify summarize the notes for me, and I can make mind maps from that. Honestly, that is the most efficient way of studying. If I need help or further explanation on a specific topic, it can do that for me. Honestly, it's helped me a lot. And one of my favorite features about Cramify is its ability of generating similar questions to the questions I've given it. This is super helpful as a student because a lot of the times my professors only give like one practice paper or two practice papers, and I cannot survive with just one or two practice papers. I need like 20. So having like similar questions be generated for me, that's super helpful. Number 3 is the gift that keeps on giving. All of this comes in levels. So we're gonna split this up into 3 levels. Level 1, which is your micro breaks. This is where you should start first, because if you just jump into level 2 or level 3, it's not gonna be very sustainable. In level 2, we're going to be talking about controlled distractions, and level 3 is going to be the integrating of the distractions into your learning. In level 1, micro breaks, this is basically also at the same time where you will be training your discipline. I've said this in a couple of videos before. I think I've also talked about this in my TikTok, but it is so important to be disciplined as compared to being motivated. And the reason for this is because when you are disciplined, you will study regardless, or you will do an action regardless of whether or not there's motivation. While if you wait for motivation to arrive, it can come and go very, very quickly. For example, I could have a sudden motivation to study, but then 2 seconds later, I'd be like, you know what? Never mind. I don't feel like studying right now. But if I'm disciplined, once I sit down in my study space, I will study, just because I've been conditioned to do that by myself. So discipline and micro breaks is going to be the main thing you have to learn in this level 1. So the analogy that I would use for level 1 is like snacking wisely. By snacking wisely, you are choosing healthier options, or you are eating less of something so that you can eat more of something else, and just being able to balance everything that you have, or balance everything that you want to eat. And that's the same thing with your tasks. By being able to use micro breaks as a way to distract yourself a little bit from your study sessions, but being disciplined about the time that you've set into that, you can choose certain distractions that will aid with your learning better. So you don't have to necessarily watch a YouTube video during your 5-minute break. You could, for example, do a push-up or do a squat for 5 minutes. It's kind of the same thing as like active rest when you are at the gym or when you're exercising. While you are resting, you are allowing your heart rate to go slower, but you are still keeping active. Instead of heart rate in this case, think about it as your brain. So you're allowing your brain to rest a little bit so that it doesn't get burnt out during your study sessions, but you're still keeping it active. You're still keeping it going so that it doesn't completely stop. That is the point of the micro breaks. In terms of the discipline, what I want you to do is to set an alarm for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It depends on how you are choosing your breaks. For me specifically, I do 25-5 Pomodoro technique. So that means I work for 25 minutes and I take a break for 5 minutes. So my break time is 5 minutes. It is very, very difficult to stick to this 5 minutes break time, especially when you are in the middle of something and you have to stop because you have to get back to studying, which you are not enjoying anyways. So what I did in order to get used to that was set alarms. I would set an alarm that would trigger me back into the present moment, as compared to when I'm distracted because I'm always in my head all the time. So it would trigger me back into the present moment, help me realize that I am actually still studying and get back into it. A lot of the times, honestly, like people just get frustrated so easily over something that's not working very well for them because they're not giving it enough time for it to even happen. Like back then when I was getting E's all the time, it was because I was getting frustrated that my studying isn't coming up with the grades that I want. And because of that, I give up slightly. I tell myself I'm studying when in reality, I'm just sitting in my study room, staring at my notebook or highlighting or copy pasting my textbook. That's not actually studying. So understanding that everything takes time and to give yourself the time to do so will help you so much. Everybody else, 99% of people, would be frustrated. If it was easy, everybody else would have done it already. But because it's so difficult, and because you are able to not give up, and you are able to actually utilize all of this and recognize that you are not the type of person to give up, that you are able to do this and you will do this, you are already putting yourself 99% ahead of everybody else. Most people will give up, but you will not. Keep that in mind. Whenever you want to give up, listen to my words. Listen to me saying this again. You are not going to give up because you are not the type of person to give up. So now, once we have established that we will not give up, that we are starting to become more disciplined, let's enter level 2. In level 2, this is where you are allowed to go into controlled distraction. This is, again, another difficult one because now I'm going to allow you guys to use your social media. And honestly, in my 5-minute break, I don't do active breaks. I just scroll on my TikTok or I play a game, but I am very, very disciplined about it. As soon as 5 minutes rings, that's it. I'm done playing. I'm done with whatever is distracting me and I am back to studying. That's where you have your controlled distraction sessions. I am allowing you to use social media. I am allowing you to use YouTube. I am allowing you to use TikTok. Whatever distraction methods you want to use, that is okay. But keep in mind, you have to keep the time that you've set. If the alarm rings at 10 minutes into the distraction sessions and you don't want to stop, remind yourself you are not the type of person to give up. You will do this. And stop what you're doing, continue with your work, and then go back to the distraction later. Your distraction will still be there when you are done studying, but the time for you to study will not be there again. And hence, we're going to enter into level 3. And level 3 is integrating learning into your distractions or integrating your distractions into your learning. You can just be distracted for the rest of your life and still be learning something. So this would be where you would use the apps that I've told you about before. I am assuming at this point in level 3, you are probably a master at discipline already. So because of that, I don't need to worry about you not being able to complete your studies in time because I am very, very sure that you will, because whenever you're distracted, you're still studying anyways. So no matter what, every second of the day, you're constantly learning. Find ways to integrate what you've learned in your studies into your everyday life. For example, if I'm talking about thermodynamics, Carnot cycle, or the binary cycle, or whatever cycle it is I'm learning about, and it's related to car engines, then when I'm in the car, I can go over that memory in my mind where I'm like, oh yeah, the Carnot cycle is this, goes into this, the calculation is like this, into this, these are the steps. Just doing active recall while I am being distracted, while I am outside, where I'm not at home, all of that plays into the addition of you being able to be 99% ahead of other people. And last but not least, take care of yourself. Whatever it is you want to do, tune in with your body and understand what you are feeling. I have neglected my feelings for so long these past few years because I want to be ahead of everybody else. But what I'm not realizing is that I cannot be ahead if I don't understand myself. So tune in to what your body is telling you. Tune in to what your feelings are. If you're feeling scared about something, ask yourself why. The more you level up, the more you are surrounded by people who are already at a higher level, it's constantly going to feel like you are always chasing after them. When in reality, you've leveled up so much from the person you were before. Use yourself as your own competition. Do not compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself and to your previous results. But yeah, aside from that, thank you so much for watching my video and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!